Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Lighten Up Zen Life. I am here with my co-host, Nancy Barr. Everybody say hi to Nancy. Nancy, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Our topic tonight is loving boundaries, in which Nancy has agreed to share with us some really great, insightful information on loving boundaries. So, Nancy, you want to start, or should I continue?
Loving boundaries? I don't think all people love boundaries, but we can try and go from that level if you want.
So one of the questions...
We're going to talk about boundaries. I think that's true.
Yeah. So would you like to start?
You can start.
Okay. So this question, we had a couple questions from one of our viewers. They don't necessarily watch live with us, but we had, they followed up, they watched the video, and then they had reached out in a phone call. And we got into really great conversations. And it was so good that I called Nancy and was like, hey, Nancy, can we break all these different subjects open, which led to this podcast for tonight. And the idea was, okay, we're loving people and we want to be in the light and practice love. And at the same time, we still need to make boundaries or use discernment. And how do we know what to do, how to do, when to do it? And that's what Nancy's going to share with us tonight.
So do you want to give some of your ideas, or do you want me to start?
Could you start?
Sure. Well, boundaries, are not something sometimes that we're taught as young kids. It may be, children that have siblings and other siblings and so on may be taught boundaries to some extent. You don't take someone else's toy or, different things and so on. But it can become very complicated as we get older and so on. A lot of the boundary aspect has to do, I think, with self-respect, self-worth, understanding myself, knowing myself, and what I can tolerate and what I don't want to. So it has the reason I said about the love, sometimes some of our boundaries are showing self-love, which is exactly what it's supposed to do, is to instigate self-love and self-respect. But on the other hand, sometimes it's not always pleasant, or it's not always easy to do that with people that you're close to, because they may have a different idea of how to treat you and the respect that what you think to be respectful and what they don't. And I think a lot of times people just don't understand. They may cross boundaries because they have a different outlook. Maybe they talk about politics. Maybe they talk about personal things. Maybe they, speak in rough tones and so forth. And the other person is not comfortable with that. So it's a matter of stating and determining and understanding what one can like and what one doesn't like, and what one is going to tolerate and what one is not going to do so. And the problem, of course, comes when we do tolerate things that we don't want to. When people are doing things that are coming against our highest good, coming against our way of thinking, and coming against our comfort zones. So again, a lot of it depends on knowing oneself, self-respect, and I think again the answer to quick answer to the boundary aspect. There's so many reasons why people need to set boundaries, but and we can mention them tonight. But one of the big thing is not to sacrifice oneself, and to understand oneself and you can state boundaries in a nice way. If you learn to communicate and have communication working for you, then you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be, you've got to think my way, but here's my boundaries. And the pace and lead aspect, where you're saying, I understand you may feel this way, but however, my life, I need to do this and this and this, or I need to be in this kind of company, or I need to have this type of association in my life. So
Nancy, how do you tell the difference between, like, say that you're in a relationship? Sometimes these people come into our lives to help us grow, and some people we need to be aware of what our comfort zones are and make a good boundary. How can we tell the difference of, so this is for my highest good and helping me to grow, or this is challenging me and I need to be more self-protective or take up space? Does that make sense?
yeah, and I think it's a good question. I don't know that it has to be always. I mean, if it's a dangerous kind of thing, then it needs to really be addressed.
Yeah,
But a lot of things, it could be one person has an idea there, and they may be doing all these really nice. They're a nice person, so they say yes when they don't really want to.
Okay.
Or they don't have time to. They're being in a place where they're having to be overwhelmed and so on. Caretaking is one of those. But you can still, one of the things as a caretaker, you may be caretaking someone, but at the same time, you set boundaries on other things. Not necessarily caretaking, but with children and so forth, they have to be taken care of. But you can set boundaries on, I get 1 day a week, and then don't bother me on that day a week, husband, or wife. It can become something that people talk about and work out, which is what it should be. But the person who has confidence and self-worth and has a certain idea of who they are and what they are pretty much going to know when they're not being taken care of, or when it's manipulating, or it's being taxing, or it's something that doesn't seem to be appropriate or fair. And one thing would be, like in a relationship, maybe one person is doing way too much and the other person's not helping, or the other person's not participating. Or maybe the person doesn't understand, and the person has had a bad day at work and speaking in a rough tone, and maybe not as very understanding or caring, acting or sounding as the other person would like to have it. It may be that you set a boundary that, I need a half hour when I get home from work. I need to unwind. I need to bring my personal life back into order here during that time period. And then after that, we can do blah, 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 whatever that might be. And I think the way you know it, if you start to resent, or it crosses the line on some level where you're doing the sacrifice, or your confidence is not there, it's being challenged, that you're giving too much too fast, not in enough way, in a nice enough way. So it just depends on what we're talking about. But the boundaries they're sort of like personal rules that you have with yourself that you've learned, or you're in the process of learning. Mm-hmm. And there's sort of areas, and when they get crossed, and they keep getting crossed, and it becomes a habit to not have them fulfilled, people then will state this, their boundaries. But I think it's unfair to have people not have an idea of what the way you think. If you're against, let's say, talking about politics, I have groups that some want to talk about it, some don't, and in my social group. And if it's something that it really bothers someone, or they really need to do that, then they can state their boundaries. They can state, yes, I have the right to say anything that I choose to say, and you don't have to be angry or upset with me. Or on the other hand, why don't we just not talk about this subject anymore, and so on, because my boundary is that I don't want to judge. I don't want to take into effect saying something against someone or do something. So boundaries in dating, there's all kinds of things when you're starting to meet each other and starting to get to know each other. It's not okay for you to make a plan with me and then not call me and tell me a change, if there's such a thing. Boundaries can be, a lot of people set boundaries of who they associate with and who they won't. Sometimes they'll set boundaries with work and work issues, and they want a certain kind of work and they want to be treated in a certain way. And when that's trespassed and not done, then, there's a problem.
Right. Nancy, what do you think is the best way to respond when we do feel trespassed against?
I didn't hear at the end of it.
When
you're
being
disrespected, or
well, I like the word that you use, trespassed. Like my boundaries were trespassed. These are my personal rules, or the rules for how I'd like to be treated.
And I think they need to be stated. I don't think we have to do a lot of talking. I don't think I owe it to everybody to explain to them in great detail why I feel the way I do. If someone is, now maybe you have to do that a little bit if it has to do with work and work related things, like the boss, the person who's in charge, the supervisor, whoever, has certain ideas of what the person should do. They're not supposed to talk on their phone. They're not supposed to take a lot of time on, for lunch and get back late. There may be certain rules that people do, and it needs to be stated in front, up front. And maybe the person doesn't want to be talked to at work in an angry, with angry. Tell me what the problem is, but you don't have to speak to me in a disrespectful way or anger or abuse. How do you know that? You know it because you're feeling it. And so I think, again, it's getting to know. I don't think everyone has the right to tell everyone else what to do and how they're going to think and what they're going to have. But I think I have the right to explain, not to explain. I don't have to really explain. I'm going to take that back. I think I have the right to communicate my own needs or preferences. Like it could be someone who people are going to the movie and it's not a movie you want to see. And so they say, oh, come on, come with us. It can be more of an innocent thing too. Come on. No, I really want to go home and go to bed. No, I really want to go home and be with my family. No, I don't really want to go. And yet they feel pressured to do so. So if they stick to their boundaries, if I have the time to go, go out after work, then I will. But if I can't and don't feel comfortable doing that because I've got other obligations that I need to take care of, I know you'll understand that.
Yeah.
I think we talked about a situation with you and some of your situations, and you can say, this is an invitation. This is by invitation only.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to communicate. I think there's ways to communicate and have a more peaceful place. If somebody doesn't respect you enough to understand that you have your own little ideas of what you are willing to tolerate or what you're not. If somebody's constantly taking advantage of you, you know what? I'm an accountant. You're an accountant, and you've worked all day, and now I just have one little question I want to ask you. And maybe the person doesn't care that someone does that, and they're more than willing to answer the questions and so forth. And it could go into another hour, 15, half hour after they get done work, and they don't want to think that way. If it bothers them, how do we know? If it bothers me, if it's something that I'm not comfortable with, then it probably needs to be set as a boundary.
Okay. So how do you know when it's something that you need to work on, or when it could just be as simple as this is a boundary?
If you're judging, if you're constantly saying yes to things you don't want to do. And everybody has to do some things that we don't want to do. I mean, that's, that goes without saying, actually. We all have responsibilities or different things, but so on. If you don't want to be around, there are people, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or good or bad, but I know people who have set boundaries. They don't want to be around negative people. They don't want to hear any negative. They don't want to hear the news. They don't want anything negative. They set boundaries that, I'm going to void. I'm not going to put the news on. I'm not going to do this. I don't want to be in the gym. I don't want to work out in the gym. I don't want to be around sick people. there's all kinds of individual things that people do, setting their boundaries, because it should be an individual thing.
Right.
And how do you know? I mean, if you don't know, if you keep doing it and it keeps happening and other people keep trespassing your boundaries, you're going to get tired of it, and you're going to be frustrated maybe and negative, and you may overreact, and you may think too much on it. You may, you'll go ahead and do it and say yes, and you don't say no, but you'll go ahead and say yes to something, and then you resent doing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How do you know? Well, if you know yourself, again, knowing yourself is part of the answer, I think. And knowing yourself and being true to yourself is showing confidence in yourself. And again, it doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be. It'll get more and more just uncomfortable if you don't deal with it. Either if you're going to say yes, then work on yourself that when you say yes, you mean yes. If you mean no, then it's not about feeling guilty. It's not about feeling bad about yourself. It's not about trying to be nice. It's not about trying to be in a place where, you just got to do everything someone else. You don't respect yourself, but you respect what everyone else more than yourself. Then eventually you're going to resent it. And if you're going to say no, you don't have to apologize for saying no. And people do, because we're taught, that's not a good thing to do. You're supposed to help everybody. You're supposed to be responsible for everybody.
That is something that is perpetuated in I'd say, commonly in my world, it's referred to in the spiritual community, that spiritual people are all loving and they hold space for everybody, and you have to be inclusive no matter how people behave. Like, I know that's not true. I'm just saying these are some of the generalizations that
I know, and I think I warned you about that.
Yeah, you did.
Because no, I think self-awareness, self-clarity, self-love has to come first. I can't be the loving person that I am capable of being if I don't love myself. If I don't respect myself, that doesn't mean being selfish. If we equate this with selfishness, or if you're again, you've heard me say this so many times, I am not fond of judgment and judging people.
Right.
I don't know what everyone signed up for. I don't know what everyone their lessons are, and so on. For me to sit there and judge someone because they're doing something and they're going, I can look at the behavior and decide if I agree with it, or if it's something. This is where discernment and what we're talking about with boundaries come in. If I really don't want to deal with that, not everyone has to deal with the news. I don't have to have a discussion with everyone about what they think and what they don't think, and then get mad at them for expressing it. I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
My boundary is that it's done with respect, that self-respect. First of all, I got to self-respect me, and I have to love me enough to be able to have the courage to say no. Even if I'm a good giving person, I already understand I'm not here on this planet to take care of everybody. I'm here maybe to teach and help, but it's not my responsibility. Each person in the law of attraction will get what they have to learn and what they need to do and how they think. So the law of attraction, the universal laws take care of a lot of it. Everyone's got in my experience, everyone's got a high spirit. I'm not in charge of everybody. Their spirit is.
Nancy, how are you comfortable saying no? What would be some tips or tools that you would suggest or offer in regards to being comfortable?
I have people ask me to go places sometimes to movie. I'll just say, and they're all going to the movie, and oh, come on, Nancy, and I'll say, no, I don't think I can do that tonight. I don't feel like it. Because you want to please people, it's very. I used to be. I think I would call myself a people pleaser in the past. I'm not here to please everyone, and I'm not here not to please people. And it's about being who we are. It's about being our real selves, and if I'm lucky enough that I please people, great. If I don't, then if it's something I need to change and alter, and they have a good point of view and a communication, and they're in communication, I don't hang on to things that are, if I know I've made a mistake, I have no problem, apologize. I have no problem finding the answer and the solution to it.
Okay.
But that takes work, and a lot of people don't do that.
And then you had mentioned too about self-awareness, that, we can know how to set better boundaries through being self-aware, self-loving. How do we get to such a place of introspection where we know ourselves well enough to say, this is a boundary I need to make for myself, or this is an area I need to grow in?
I don't trespass others. I mean, if I do, you'll hear a fast apology or a change of heart. And I don't trespass other people. And, if I'm being trespassed, when someone's doing something that is invasive and trespassing without my, secretly, like black magic, it could be a lot of things. No, my boundary is no, I'm not accepting any of that trespassing. If somebody is angry, tell me. I mean, we can talk about it. You don't have to be angry at me. You don't have to sound angry. You don't have to be mean or nasty with me. I do better with positive reinforcement than I do with, the negative.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to punish people because they're angry and they're resentful, and they want to go back and, punish people, and they do it in different ways. People will oftentimes set their boundaries. They have to set it with family members. Sometimes they have to set different boundaries that, no, you can't take all dad's money, and you can't do all mom's money, and you can't do this because you're a sibling. You can't take over. Again, there's all kinds of boundaries that people have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Val said, hi, Nancy. And she said, Denise sends love. She's not feeling well.
Aw.
We'll send them back to Denise. We love you, Denise.
Absolutely. If you, if you are doing something and it doesn't feel right to you and it's not comfortable, and somebody else really wants you to be a part of it, gossip would be a good example, and you set boundaries. I don't gossip at work. I don't gossip and talk about people in a negative way. Socially, I don't sit there and ask personal questions, or I don't have a lot of negativity and dumping on someone, and so on. And when I say me, I'm not talking about myself. I'm just talking. I only speak on me and I, because I don't have the right to say that other people do it or don't do it. They do it. But I'm not naming anybody. I'm just saying, in a general sense, that there's a lot of different things.
I agree. I understand. So
it could be if somebody, you're going to laugh on this one. It could be if you ask someone a direct question and then they convert the question and change the question and don't answer you. You might set a boundary. No, I want to know what that answer is.
Mm-hmm.
Because people like to do that. You ask a question and then they change it, and you don't get a direct answer because they in the midst of it they go off on a different tangent, in a different place or a different idea. And again, some people don't mind that, and some people do.
When we were talking about putting this show together, Nancy, you were talking about over explaining, that some people are not comfortable saying no directly or giving a short answer, so they tend to over explain because they're not comfortable. Can you flesh out what that looks like?
Well, anytime that you over explain, the more words you use and the more ideas you bring into it, and the more you converse and the more you go around and around and around and around about it. Number one, people's attention spans are shorter than that a lot of times. But more is not better. And people overthink. There's a lot of overthinking, and so on. The more complicated it gets, the more unclear you're going to be. So sometimes being silent, sometimes minimizing, and just get straight to the point. I mean, if it takes words to do, and it takes a lot of explanation, and you could write a whole paragraph or more on it, it means probably you're not clear. You're not clear in your own mind. And maybe you're asking whatever it is because you want to be clear and you want somebody else's opinion. So you're asking, you're trying to find out what they're thinking. And they go off into other directions. So, I think it just depends. I mean, some people, there's so much of that in the news. There's so much of it, so many false things, so many this and that, and so much stuff going on, and people going on this long dissertation about, commentate. There's a difference between reporting and commentating. Or I can't even say the word. And so there's, it's a preference, a personal preference. I personally like reporting better than I like everyone explaining. And that's not really true. I mean, all the time, because I enjoy listening to how other people think. I enjoy finding out what makes a person do or say the things they're doing. I do it for a living. I listen to
You're
people all the
so good
time.
at it.
Yeah, I'm really good at it. I listen to it, and I can hear between the lines. So yeah, I do it. But you can overthink things, and the mind, the overthinking, the mind is not always our best friend. It has that negative side to it too. And so it's not about clarity. Is something that's rare. How do you get clarity? Meditate, breathe. Ask for it.
You're such a great psychic. I literally just wrote down the question, Nancy, what's a simple way to get clear? And then you started saying it.
Well, I believe that people are intuitive. I think we're moving now we're going into a little different direction here, but same kind of result. But I don't know what else I can say about, the self-love is very, very important. Very important. Loving oneself, accepting oneself, just being oneself, expanding oneself. And why should I spend all my time? Because it is the first thing. Before you can't do the other stuff until you are in that space. You got to become who you want to be, who you have to. If you want someone like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a love person or, somebody, best friend or whatever the case might be, become that person you want with the characteristics, and then you're going to attract it, because everything is magnetism. And we're going into the fourth dimension. We're going into the astral plane right now. And so people are going to have more intuition. They're going to have dreams, and people are having weird dreams and fun dreams and all kinds of lucid dreams. They're having all kinds of things that are in that fourth dimension. And a lot of people, if we're lucky enough, they're in the high fourth and fifth dimension, where they're paying attention to solutions and not to the problem. They observe the problem and then go for the solution, ask for the solution, ask for the angels, that the Buddhas, the Christian, Jesus, anybody and all the ones that have the answers, trying to get into a higher level of feeling peace, harmony, and well-being. And the point is, love it's not an emotion. People think of love being an emotion. Loving myself, people think love is an emotion. It's really not an emotion. It is it's a vibration. It's energy. And our whole universe runs on that energy, love. So the closer I come to being love to myself, love to others, being love, but that doesn't mean I'm a slave to everybody. It doesn't mean I'm a slave doing this. I don't think that everyone has to, people say, I'm working on this, I prefer to say I'm focusing on it. Because working sounds like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I got so much on my plate. I've got to work. I've got to take care of kids. I've got to be with friends. I've got to find my answers. I've got to read books. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I don't have time to focus on spirituality. Well, it's interesting because that source, the divine source, is in the breath. And yet we don't have time, and we got to breathe anyways, and we don't have time to recognize that it's in there, or we don't know to recognize it's in there, and that it's there for a reason, for us to be in oneness with it and to use it. And the same thing with all the helpers that our service are in, and most of us are doing services ourselves. We're masters, and we're doing it too. But I can't. The better master I can be, the masters they master. They're not victims. And so if a master is portraying themselves as a victim, they're not in alignment. They don't have to be a victim. They just need to go to the solution. They need to find a solution, either one that is given to them by the universe and it automatically happens, or one, sometimes by manifesting and focusing on something and using our great imagination can help and do the same thing. But, not everyone knows how to do that. But all you have to do is breathe, and you're breathing anyway. And if you do step number one, if you do breath, just breathe. It's going to relax you. If you breathe think of the breath coming from your heart chakra and so on, and you're going to upgrade your emotional self. If you think about the God mind is right behind the skull, right at where it indents, right at the vertebrae, that's the God mind. If you think about the God mind and the breathing from the heart chakra, you're going to have clarity, and there you are. I mean, how hard is that?
Not
It's
hard,
hard
and it's
because
quick.
we're busy.
Yeah. Well, then we get into ego when we are doing that.
Well, the more thinking we do, the more ego's going to be involved.
Right.
And it's not a bad ego, bad ego. It's just the ego is our concepts are. The ego is, it doesn't mean it's accurate, and it doesn't mean it's clear.
I have a question for you, Nancy. This is something I've been thinking about. I saw a video where there was a person having like a group session with some students, and they were doing breath work to heal, but their focus was not necessarily on healing. It was more so what they described as unblocking like memories from the past that are stuck in the body by focusing on doing the breath work. What would be your I guess like takeaway on that? Like,
I think it's a great idea. I think we have a lot of memories, that need to be either recognized or removed or whatever blocks. The subconscious is a huge computer. It's a big computer, and it has memories of all kinds of things. And see, what we don't always understand is that we are hit with a lot of different vibrations and energies that we don't even pay attention to, but they come in and they get absorbed and so on, and then they're in the computer. It's like if you have your recorder on and you forgot to turn it off, and meanwhile it records all kinds of different sounds, going the refrigerator opening and closing, the car starting and so on, and it just keeps recording. Well, that's what the subconscious does. Right. So to be able to use a tool, I mean, breath is life. It's life. I mean, it's just really life. Without it, you don't live. But at the same time, it also is a way. It's a tool that it's a beautiful tool. It's a gift. I shouldn't even say tool. It's a gift. Everything was put into the breath so that we would all have a fair chance at eventually recognizing it and using it to our highest good. But the mind, whatever you think, you get. The law of attraction is, I get what I think. I get what I want.
Sorry, that was kind of my question with you is, when we are focusing on to heal, to transform, we're in perfect optimal health and well-being. Are we focusing on that we're in perfect health and optimal well-being, or are we focusing on the thing that we want to heal? Where would you say that it's more advantageous?
I'd say people are both. A lot of times it's in both areas. Which one's the strongest?
Okay.
I think a lot of times, I mean, some of the things, cancer is one example of this, and it's the easier one to describe, I think, in a way. There's a lot of them, but cancer being one. And that is, you first of all, you get it, and then you have whatever your experience is. Could be fear, oh my God, it can be anything and everything. How dangerous it is. It could be something that we can cure this, we can get rid of this, there's treatments to this. But when you do the treatments, it's got you thinking of it again.
Right.
And then you got to recover from the treatment. If it's radiation or some of the chemos, you got to sit there, and then you got to go through and it's what you think, and it's how you think about it. And if you think, you remember that I did this with Evie, but she got rid of all these cancer cells. She got rid of tumors. Because we programmed in hypnosis, that chemo was, the purpose of chemo was to kill cancer cells. It can only kill a cancer cell. It cannot kill one. It cannot touch one healthy cell.
I love the intention in the program.
And her mind did that. I mean, I made the suggestion, but her mind's the one that did that. It bought in. That's absolutely true. I only wanted, and so she worked through the whole time. She was taking treatments, and the treatments weren't really very difficult for her at all, and she had a lot of them. But it was her attitude that changed. So what we think, every single problem has a solution right beside it. And that's what people need to remember. That's what we all need to remember is whatever this problem is, there is a solution right beside it. And you have a choice. Either you're going to believe strongly in what you're seeing, the five senses and what you're going through in your past lives and your past and all those things that are in our memory and our subconscious and so on. Or you can breathe them out, or you can do hypnosis, or you can decide that that's outdated. I'm not going to believe in that anymore. You can, one way or another, those blocks that are obvious, and they, maybe you have a block, but you were raised that money's evil, or you can't have it, or loss is something that's going to happen, and whatever the belief systems are, they're third dimension, and there is a problem attached. It's up and down. There can be a good thing to it, and then it's like fickle. Then it'll go bad. But if you want something that really works, there's a solution to this. Whatever that problem is, there's a solution, and there is a high self that wants to fix it. There's a combination of the body that wants to be well that you can tap into. There's so many different things. There's parallel universes. There's quantum jumping, for people that are understanding that. And I think there's quantum jumping for, we can go to another time period, another parallel universe, and it can tell us things. It can, we have the quantum jump we do all the time. People, they're steadfast on one thing, and all of a sudden they have some kind of miracle that gives them the answer, and it's an aha moment. It's something that's incredible, something really important and necessary. That came from probably a quantum jump. They quantum jumped. And, each one of us have these abilities to do all this stuff, but it's inside. You change the inside, the outside changes. You change the inside, the outside changes. Change the inside, the outside changes.
So what you're saying is, if we change the inside, the outside changes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, pretty much. That's right. I guess that's pretty much what I'm saying. And it does. I mean, and to see what's so neat, what's so interesting, and this, but what's so interesting is the outside is a mirror to what's inside.
Mm-hmm.
It is mirroring whatever I'm having on the outside. I can point fingers and blame everybody or anything else, and blame everything, or even blame myself. But it's because it's inside me, and I need to, if I correct it inside, which that's what they were doing is with the breath, they were trying to wipe away these outdated, blocks and so forth. They wouldn't be sitting in there doing it if they didn't want to get rid of them, right? I mean, I can't imagine they would. But so what do I think about it? I think it's amazing. I love it.
Val says, I get so excited when Nancy gives advice. Me
Oh,
too.
that's nice.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's really helpful information, and you make everything very simple and easy to understand.
You know, Teresa, it has to be that way. You know, everything with, if you want to call it God, if you want to call it spirit, you know, divine, any term, and, you know, the angel, Jesus, anyone, Jesus came to teach it and be it. But anyway, so did the Buddhists, so did many. But if it's so, it has to be easy enough for the child. It has to be fair enough for the blind. It has to be fair enough for the deaf, the person that can't hear. It has to be fair enough for the old and the young in the middle. It has to be open to any and all things that breathe, that has spirit. Even the animals and plants and elementals and all these things. I mean, everything is the simplicity. That's why I like clarity, and that's why I sort of try to, you know, for me it just makes more sense. It's everyday simplicity. You know, every day I have to breathe anyway. Okay, Nancy, are you going to pay attention to your breath today for a little bit? Are you going to have a word to word with the divine that put itself in your breath? Are you going to be able to meditate and see what else information is going to come into you sometime today, or are you going to just wait till it comes in by itself? Because the quantum leap is already trying to say, Nancy, pay attention. I finally figured out who goes Nancy.
Did you?
It's one of my parallel universes going, Nancy, pay attention. I love that.
Val says,
I'm so grateful that we have the help, that we have the ability, and that we're going to solution. We have gone through a dark force, you know, in the Pisces age. It was a very difficult age, and so on, a negative age. We're coming out of it. Now we have everything available: miracles, angels, Jesus, Buddhas, Christians, you know, people who are following universal law. Not everybody does that in any of those spaces, but the ones that do, what do I think what they're doing? I'm so thankful they're doing it.
Agreed. Val says that it's kind of like a question and a statement. She said, I've had someone around me in my home for about 3 days now. Then yesterday I found out that a neighbor passed. I said, do you mean a spirit around you? She says, I'd say a presence catching something in a glance. No clear vision of anything, so I'll just say a presence. So the question is, as far as boundaries go, how can we clear out energy that we don't necessarily want around us?
You have a rule. Number one, when you sleep, and here's just different ones that I do. You have a rule that what you're going to have, you have the right to decide what you're going to have in your presence. That means your home, your car, you know, everywhere. So sometimes, because she's a master, and sometimes what happens is they get stuck because of different reasons, all kinds of different reasons, and they just want to be sent on. And Teresa, you know how to send them on. I taught you, right?
Yes.
So you can tell them how to send it on, you know, what to do, but just sending them on is just a focus where you're just going to say, I'm going to ask the higher beings to come in and be around you, and we're going to send you into the light. And you can always come back and visit the people you want to stay around, but you got to go into the light first, and then you send them on. I mean, it just takes an intent, really. It's not complicated. I just feel like I'm lifting them up or pushing them up, you know, like a child. You're shoving them over the fence. But, you know, I don't know. Whatever way comes to you, but it could be that. But you have the right to have light and love and peace. Anything that is not light, love, peace, and harmony is not, you cannot be in my house. And I clear things from the top of the ethers to the center of the planet, to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west.
Mm.
I do that when I get in the car. I ask for complete safety and peace and harmony and well-being for everyone else and myself and my car and my, I do it for my grounds, my house and the outside and the inside. I ask for the elementals to be gentle when there's winds coming through, hurricane winds. It's so amazing because you can ask, and you can, whatever the solution is, you can ask for it, or you can ask to say, okay, high self, okay, in the fifth dimension, how do I do this? How can I get my head straight and so on? What do I need to do to feel good? What do I need to do? Happiness is an elixir inside of us. It's literally an elixir. And I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. Look at it. Every day can be a miracle of what you want if you think to ask for it, or if you know how to, if you use some way like meditation, or your desire is the important. Your intent is the important thing. Your thoughts will be an outcome of those intents. That intention and that thought will only be a reflection in a mirror to what's inside you. So with your intent is, I want to be happy. Why wouldn't we? We don't have to pay attention to everything all at once. I can observe things and ask for light to come in. Please bring light to it. If something's going on and it's something, if I see somebody against that had an accident and I'm driving by them, I pay attention to what draws my attention. I don't pay attention to everybody that's on the side road. But if it draws my attention, I ask for something nice to happen for those people, whoever was in that car. You can do that. I mean, if you're going to do service, you can do that. You can ask for what you want. Or you can manifest what you want. You don't even have to ask. I mean, you're a spirit. You're a spirit inside. You breathe and you make, and you have that right to have whatever you want. And that's clarity in your house. That's peace and harmony in your house. If somebody's there, ask for them to come in and please go into the light. And send them on with your prayer.
Yes.
I don't know if I answered your question.
I think that answered the question. Val, do you think that answered the question? The other thing was that we had the question on the other program about the third and fifth dimension, how like some people have been saying the earth is splitting in half. Other people say earth is a hologram. Some people say there's a new earth.
Well, our whole universe is a hologram.
Okay.
I mean, there's part of there's a universe that there's a material universe that's part of the hologram. That is part of the hologram. I think it could very well split. I think we're going to have quantum leaps, and those who choose peace, harmony, and well-being, and choose to be loving and fun and enjoy life and be respectful to others, and to be respectful that the divine has done everything it can. I shouldn't say everything it can. Who knows how much it can do? I don't mean it that way, but it has done so much to make it available to us now. So I think the earth could split. And when you go to bed tonight, how do you know which dimension you wake up on? How do you know if you did the split or you were on the negatives, on the other side of the split?
Mm-hmm.
And you will know by what happens.
Meaning, like, the things that happen in your day-to-day life.
To be touched by all this stuff, but especially masters do not have to be victims. Masters are not victims; they master. So the mastering is, I choose. Like I told you before, I went to my body one day, and so far so good. It's been doing it. I said, body, I got good news for you. You don't have to ever have another disease. You don't have to be sick anymore. You can enjoy you can do everything in balance and peace and harmony now. I'm ascending and so are you. I'm ascending here on earth and so are you. And so far I haven't had, people around me have been sick, and knock on wood, I haven't had it. And I don't, but you don't have to suffer. It's not the higher beings. This age is not made for suffering. You wouldn't know it by the looks of things and the way things are happening. but it's cleansing, it's clearing, it's trying to get people into a, the people that leave, the animals that leave, and so on. It's an illusion. They're going to maybe that split earth.
So, I mean, I took in what you said, but the viewer's original question is, I don't understand people talking about that we're in different dimensions and there's two worlds and what we do dictates where we go. Do you?
Dimensions. People don't understand dimensions because they're not what most people think. A lot of people think. My experience of dimensions is that it's consciousness, it's an understanding, it's a way of feeling. The third dimension, each dimension has a unique kind of space of consciousness. So the first dimension, I'll go through it really fast, but the first dimension has to do with not being able to see clearly, being flatliners and not seeing clearly. So it created separation. Anytime you're separated in your mind, anytime there's separation, then you're going to have the next step, which is a dimension. That dimension is fear. And fear, because the separation, loss, could be this, could be a lot of different reasons and all kinds of stuff. It could be separation in my own mind and doubt. You're going to have doubt. If anything as you're going through is separated or in separation of any negative separation, then you're going to eventually have doubt. You're going to, try to figure it out, which is not all bad. I mean, it can be used in showing you what you really want. And then the third dimension is represented by, belief systems. And it's a box, a person in a box, which is the matrix or the illusion. And it has to do with everything I've learned. I believe what I was taught, what I learned, whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, true or not true. My whole life, it resolves in this box, going through the stuff, and then the whole idea is to get out of the box. And then you have the fourth dimension. The lower fourth dimension are the chatter and all the negative energies. And then you have the middle consciousness, which is being affected by the AIs, the technology, and all that. And then you have the high fourth dimension, which are all the angels, the light workers, and all the beings that are trying to help people get out of the box and get through this. And then you have the fifth dimension, which is heaven on earth, which is it's a dimension where it only works with the solution. Nothing negative is ever. You don't go to it with the problem. You only go and ask the solution, and it gives you the solution very rapidly. And that created unity, means everybody wins. And that higher level, it's a win-win for everyone. When you're happy, the world's better.
Okay.
So dimensions are consciousness, or understanding. They're just different levels of understanding. That's really what they are. And,
so
we think of it as a space, but it can be in a space, but it's not so much about the space as it is about the understanding and consciousness.
So as things change, because we keep hearing things are changing, how do we know where is best for us to be?
Because you're going to want to be there.
Okay.
You're going to want to be, do you want to be happy?
Of course, yeah.
Do you want things to be easy and unfold?
Yes.
Do you want to get answers to things when you're not sure what to do?
Yes.
Do you want to have peace and harmony and well-being?
Yes.
Well, when you have it, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that in the past we've had it. A lot of people have had it. A lot of us have had it, but we want it to become permanent. I don't know if you want to call it permanent, but we want it to become, it doesn't go away. It's not just fleeting. 1 minute you're okay, the next hour you're not.
Right. We want to stabilize it.
And that's because that's the third dimension and the lower dimensions. Well, in the higher dimension, it's heaven on earth. It's peace. It's bliss. It's peaceful. It's good. And will people split? Maybe. I think there's a good chance there's going to be splitting involved.
Okay.
I think that people who want to be peaceful and want love, peace, and harmony and so forth, they're not going to be touched by all the negativity that's happening in that other side. You know, if the left hand is all the negativity, the right hand's right beside it with all the answers. So if you have the answers, you don't get hit by the negative. It doesn't affect you. You don't buy into the traps.
Correct. Val said that helped me a lot. Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. You already knew it. I was just reminding you.
Okay. Those are the questions that I think I had. I don't think I have any more questions right now.
Okay.
Does anybody else have questions? You put that down there. Anybody who's watching right now, we have some on both platforms. If you have any questions for Nancy in regards to creating boundaries, holding boundaries, what is self-respect?
Self-respect means you allow yourself to be who you are. It means that you understand you're here to learn, you're here to teach, or you're here for whatever purpose you have, and you are. But you're fine, you're good. That spirit is inside you. You don't have to go out anywhere. You don't have to do all these different things. You allow the high self to sort of guide you through, ways to get to the higher levels, because that's where you came from. For the masters, they've already been in the Christ energy. We're coming back, and we don't have to leave Earth to be in the Christ energy. Jesus showed that, and so did the Buddhas, and so did a lot of others. So it's a matter of choice. I choose to be peaceful, happy, and comfortable. I choose to be loving. I choose to be in that vibration of love, because I know it's the only vibration that's going to work. I choose to make changes in my life that will adapt myself so that I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with being happy. It's okay for me to be happy. I don't have to be sad because other people are. I don't have to be unhappy. Maybe I'm here to demonstrate happy.
Yep. Okay. Because of
maybe I'm here to demonstrate. What if, Teresa, what if all the masters, the people who have M's on their hand, what if each one of them had a quantum jump that's perfect? And it solves all of their problems. All they have to do is move towards it and want it. And then if all of the masters that are here on the planet get a hold of their quantum jump of what I'm talking about, then it heals the world.
How would you propose that the masters can do that?
Ask. Make choices that, get rid of the old past and the stuff that don't matter anymore. Decide what's valuable, what's valid in your learning process, and the stuff that you went through. If it's the past and it's not what's happening now, you don't want it now, let it go. Let go and let go, and let things go. Well, it's easier said than done sometimes, because we want to hold on to it because we think we have to, or we want to hold on to it because we think it serves us. Find out why you would think that, because it's not going to serve you, and it's certainly not going to serve you, any of us. So it's about letting go of things that don't work, deciding what you want and what you don't want. And what you don't want is only showing you what you want. So focus on what you want. Focus, I didn't say work, focus on what you want. Focus on what the higher level of, and you don't have to know how to get it. The universe will give it to you. It's doing everything it can to get us into that fifth dimension and higher.
Nancy, Lucy wants to know, what does it mean to have an M on your hand? What is having an M on the hand?
Your master, 144,000 of us, came to help the human race through this time period and to demonstrate love, peace, and harmony and well-being. The M is a master, and it's on the palms. And what does it mean? It means you volunteered to come to help during this time period, and we came in at the Pisces age. We went through everything the human race went through, overcame it, and now we're here to demonstrate what the real God is, what the real situation is, what the truth is, and to help everybody get to the same place. We didn't come for ourselves. I mean, we came for ourselves in a way, but what we came to do was help anyone who wants to get out of this mess.
Is the M on both palms or just one? She says.
Both.
Both.
They're always on both. You wouldn't probably be listening to this conversation if you didn't have M's. Or maybe you would. Maybe there's some people out there, but the M's are people that are the masters, but the people that don't have them are also going to be masters. They're also they're the human race, and that's the whole reason why we came.
Right.
It wasn't fair to have the human race that we have now. It wasn't fair that they were going to be in the same time period of going through the photon belt, going through the changes here that we're going through, and only having one age to evolve, when all the other in the universe had millions and thousands and millions and billions of years. So we came to even the odds.
Lucy says, I have M's on both. And Val says, me also. I also have M's on both. And I'm not surprised at all.
I'm not either. And, now we're here just to demonstrate. We're not here to save anybody. They're already saved. The breath saved everybody. The God in the breath is there, right in the breath. And all we have to do is to recognize that it's there, and then it works miracles for us.
I like what you said to me the other day, Nance, when we were talking about doing this podcast, because I said, I think sometimes people are so focused on being loving that they have trouble making boundaries because they, what do I want to say? They want to prioritize or value.
There's false love, Teresa.
No, I understand that. But what you said to me, you said sometimes being loving means being protecting. Sometimes being loving means setting boundaries. It's okay to it's okay to protect your energy. It's okay to protect your space. It's okay to do these things. That still translates to love.
Well, if love is a vibration, not emotion, but vibration. And in that vibration, you automatically have clarity, and you do things that are of the higher nature, meaning, things that work rather than don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be automatic?
That is correct. Lucy says, what do I do with this information now that I have it? It's so cute.
That's a good question. You've got a high self, and you've got a destiny, and to know thyself is the answer. And you will definitely know, and you'll know very quickly. It won't be long from now.
I like it.
One thing we do is we work on ourselves. I mean, again, I use that word work. I don't like it. We focus on ourselves, and then we're choosing not to be caught in the traps and the unseen and the illusion. We choose to be out of it, which is why we came to help the human race come out of being getting hit 2 ways to tomorrow. Their DNA got, I don't know, it was a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to mention it here right now, but it was they are part of spirit. I mean, they're highly. This human race did in one age what it took the whole universe many, many ages to do.
That's right.
Pretty wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. It may not look that people can judge all they want to. That's why I suggest not judging, because you don't know who you're judging. That's and you don't know what they've gone through, and you don't know, most of us don't know. I mean, I can pick up if it's given to me, but I don't know what everyone is. I can tell a little bit because of what people do and where their focus is, but the whole idea is to be happy, to be at peace. We were made to be at peace. We were made to be happy. We were made to see the beauty. We were made to do all these wonderful things. Now we're getting a chance to do it, because one false universe didn't win.
That's right. It's out. Val says, once again, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
I love it. I just, again, that's exactly right, Mel. It's, that's why we came, and that's what we need to do. And I don't mean it in a Pollyanna. I mean, we all go through things, but masters. So that whatever has come in my life, my job was to overcome it, or to get it into a better place, to raise it. If you're quantum jumping, you take something that was, if the resurrection angels and so on, people, the one that I heard that was sitting in my Sunday thing said, people don't know that we exist. The resurrection angels, they don't know that we exist. And I was hearing this through telepathic. I was hearing this, and it said, in fact, the only time that people pay attention to resurrection is during Easter, but they don't believe it then either, because they keep Jesus on the cross.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the best things
Resurrection angels, they want to help. I mean, they're amazing. I'm in love with that family of angels, along with all the rest of them, all the other ones too.
I love all the angels. It's true. I mean, if Denise were here, she'd be like, I love the resurrection angels.
That we're here on this earth, and we're helping, and we're serving, and we're doing what we're here to do. But everyone can do it. I mean, it's not just for one person. It's not one person knowing more than another. It's about the uniqueness of each person coming from different planets, different areas, coming in and bringing their gifts so that we can understand this universe.
Absolutely. Well, I think that we answered everybody's questions, Nancy.
Okay, good.
This was a really, really great podcast. Thank you so much for teaching us so many wonderful new pieces of information. Share. Thank you for sharing so many new tools and pieces of information for us to integrate. So just as like a wrap up, when it comes to setting boundaries, we will know because it is like a personal rule for ourselves.
Well, you wouldn't be setting the boundary if you didn't know.
Well, some people, like I said,
if you get a feeling that you need to, have a condition, of something that is going to make your life easier or better, and so on. If it's not happening that way, then you want it to, then you're, if you act on it, or if you make it happen, then you're setting boundaries. And it's not about, the big thing is not always about setting boundaries. That happens automatically when you're in the zest of love. Mm-hmm. You don't have to set boundaries. There is no boundaries. The truth is there really are no boundaries. The boundaries are self-made to protect you, or to get you in an environment that you want to be in. But there's really, eternity is eternity. It's unlimited. The fifth dimension is unlimited. It doesn't have, there's no negativity. It doesn't recognize anything negative, and there's no negativity, and it's unlimited. And now it's being offered to us. So I don't know if we have to set boundaries after. That's why I think it was a little hard to answer that question a little bit. Because for me, I don't have to set boundaries. I just have to know myself, and I attract whatever it is that's good for me, and I don't attract the bad anymore so much. If that's the case, then my boundary is love.
Okay.
Did that wrap it up?
That was a good wrap up.
Alrighty.
All right. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone. We love you. See you next time.
Love and